What if the person you end up marrying first caught your eye when you were only 13 years old? For Joanna Duggar, that is exactly how her story with husband Austin Forsyth began. In a candid YouTube Q&A, the Counting On star looked back and admitted she developed deeper feelings for Austin when she was just 13 and he was 17. She was careful to explain that it was not some instant certainty that he was the one. Still, the moment stayed with her for years. Fans who have followed the Duggar family for more than a decade were taken by surprise when the details surfaced. How does a teenage crush turn into a lasting marriage under the strict courtship rules the family has always lived by? And what exactly did Joanna say about waiting years before they ever started dating? Stick around, because the full picture of how their relationship unfolded is both surprising and deeply rooted in the faith and family values that have defined their lives. The Duggar family first became household names through the TLC series 19 Kids and Counting, which followed Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar as they raised their large brood in Arkansas. Viewers watched the children grow up on camera, navigating everything from daily chores to major life milestones under a spotlight. When the original show ended, several of the adult siblings continued sharing their lives on Counting On. Joanna, the ninth of the 19 children, was always known for her tomboy spirit and close ties to her siblings. Like many of her sisters, she followed the family's practice of courtship rather than traditional dating. Courtship meant intentional time spent with a potential spouse, usually under chaperoned conditions, with the clear goal of marriage and guided by their Christian beliefs. Austin Forsyth's family had known the Duggars for years through their shared church community. The two had been around each other since childhood, long before any romantic interest entered the picture. That long history set the stage for the moment Joanna later described in her own words, a moment that would eventually lead to their marriage in 2017. In early February 2021, Joanna sat down for a fan question and answer session on her YouTube channel, Follow the Forsyths. One viewer asked a straightforward but revealing question: when and how did she know that Austin was more than an everyday crush? Joanna answered with a smile and clear recollection. She said the moment she realized her feelings went beyond a simple crush happened when she was 13 and Austin was 17. They were at the Duggar family home playing volleyball, something that happened often. Her father, Jim Bob, asked Austin to share his testimony of how he came to faith. Austin spoke about difficult teenage years and his desire to serve the Lord. Joanna later recalled thinking that you do not often see that kind of openness and sincerity in guys. From that point on, she said, she had a huge crush on him and really admired him. She was careful to clarify the nature of those early feelings. This was not, in her words, a case of knowing he was the one. It was simply more than liking him because he was cute. The admiration stuck with her, and she carried those feelings forward as the years passed. What stands out in her account is the emphasis on timing and patience. Joanna and Austin had known each other for roughly 15 years by the time they became a couple. They did not jump into a relationship as teenagers. Instead, they waited. Their official courtship began in November 2016, when Joanna was 19. Austin chose a meaningful outdoor spot to ask her, a place that held personal significance for both of them. A few months later, in March 2017, he proposed. The couple married on May 26, 2017, at Cross Church in Rogers, Arkansas. At the time of their wedding, Joanna was 19 and Austin was 23. The relatively short formal courtship period, lasting only a few months, was not unusual within the Duggar family, where many relationships moved quickly once the decision to pursue marriage was made. Yet the foundation of their connection stretched back more than a decade to those childhood years of church gatherings and family activities. Context matters here. Growing up in a high-profile conservative Christian household meant that interactions between young men and women were carefully structured. Physical affection was limited, chaperones were common, and the goal of any relationship was marriage rather than casual dating. Joanna has spoken in the past about how she and Austin followed those guidelines, waiting until their wedding day for their first kiss. In later interviews she has confirmed that detail. The early admiration she felt at 13 existed within that same framework of faith and family oversight. Austin has shared his own side of the story in past Counting On episodes, describing how he eventually began to see Joanna as more than just a friend's sister. One moment that stood out for him came while he was away at flight school in Mississippi, when thoughts of her simply surfaced one morning. Their shared history and mutual respect for the values they were raised with helped turn that long-simmering connection into a committed relationship. The revelation itself was not presented as scandalous by Joanna. She framed it as an honest look back at how her feelings developed over time. She noted that the crush continued and eventually led to their happy marriage. By the time she shared the story in 2021, the couple already had 2 young children, son Gideon and daughter Evelyn. They later welcomed a 3rd child, son Gunnar. Their life after the TLC cameras stopped rolling has largely centered on family, faith, and the everyday realities of raising kids away from the constant spotlight of reality television. The 2021 Q&A also touched on lighter topics, such as how they keep their marriage fun through shared activities like listening to audiobooks on road trips. Yet it was the age detail that drew the most attention from viewers who had followed every stage of their public journey. Public reaction to Joanna's comments mixed curiosity with a range of opinions. Many longtime fans found the story consistent with the couple's long friendship and the family's emphasis on waiting for the right time. Some appreciated the transparency, seeing it as a realistic account of how feelings can form early and mature over years under structured guidance. Others expressed discomfort at the age difference in that early moment, noting that a 13-year-old and a 17-year-old occupied different stages of adolescence. Media coverage from outlets that regularly follow the Duggars reported the quotes accurately and noted Joanna's own clarification that it was admiration rather than a firm belief that he was her future husband. Online discussions reflected that same range of views. Supporters pointed to the years of waiting and the eventual adult courtship as evidence that the relationship developed appropriately. Critics focused more on the initial age gap in the crush. Overall, the conversation stayed centered on the facts Joanna herself provided rather than inventing new drama. The couple has largely stayed out of the daily news cycle since stepping back from regular television appearances, which has allowed their story to be discussed mainly in the context of the update she chose to share. Looking ahead, Joanna and Austin have continued building their life together as parents of 3. They occasionally appear in family updates or podcast conversations with relatives, but they have not signaled any major new public projects tied directly to this particular story. Viewers interested in the Duggar family often watch for the occasional social media posts or interviews that offer glimpses into how the adult siblings are navigating life after the cameras. Any future comments from Joanna or Austin about their early years would likely come in the same straightforward style she used in the 2021 Q&A. For now, the verified details remain those she shared herself. An early admiration that grew over time, years of waiting, a short formal courtship, and a marriage that has lasted nearly a decade. Joanna Duggar's admission that she developed real feelings for Austin Forsyth at 13 offers a revealing look at how their relationship began long before the public ever saw them as a couple. She made clear that the early crush was rooted in admiration for his faith and character during a simple family volleyball gathering, and she emphasized that they waited years before any dating or courtship started. Their path followed the deliberate, faith-centered process familiar to anyone who has watched the Duggar family over the years. From childhood acquaintances to a married couple raising 3 children, their story shows both the patience required by their values and the personal history that made their connection unique. What are your thoughts on this latest Duggar family update? Share your opinion in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another Duggar family update.